I want to give a huge round of applause for Kenny, but the way we would do that is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to just clap, we'll slow clap. You guys ready for that? All right, no need to stand up or anything like that. Just follow me around. And when you get to the end of the slow clap, make as much noise you possibly can. I'm going to hear the voice of Toronto. All right? Ready? Get your hands a little bit broad. All right? And just follow along. All right. Woo! Wow. Awesome. Very cool. Yes, love it. Awesome. When is the next event? All right, cool. So I want to talk about how do you build, how do you market and sell like a category leader. Now, this is a very new topic, so you are the guinea pigs. You are the first ones that I'm going to kind of try this topic. So if you have feedback, I'll really, really love it. But I really feel passionate about this topic. And as Kenny shared, we have been very fortunate in the last 3.5 years since we started Terminus. We have raised a good amount of money. But more importantly, we have gone from 3 co-founders to about 200 people. And that has been a lot to do with how we have gone about marketing and selling. We haven't talked about the product. We have done it a different way. And I'm sharing some of the principles I learned. And this just happened recently where I was asked to come and present to a portfolio of companies why they want to be a category leaders. And I thought, well, this is an interesting topic. So please bear with me as I go through the story, but also give me feedback as you hear about this. And if you identify with some of those things, I'll love to talk with you afterwards. All right? And then, as Kenny mentioned, I have a daily Flip My Funnel podcast. It's just fun stuff. So if you guys want to listen in, that'd be awesome. So a bunch of salespeople. I'm a CMO. You all are, how many of you guys are selling to marketers? A lot of you guys, right? And I assume that you know that marketers are getting sold to every single day by hundreds of thousands. I get hundreds of emails and calls every day. So I was thinking, maybe in this process, because I'm at SalesDO, let me see if I can tailor this presentation to align with the sales ideologies and figure out a way to see how you can sell me better. So is that a good deal? Is that something you guys want to know? Yes. All right, well, let's do it. So before we get into it, here are the 5 books that I took time to take notes from, and some of this is what you're going to see in the presentation. Any of these books sound familiar to you guys? All right, cool. So I think it was incredible. I think one of my favorite one is Behind the Cloud from Mark Benioff. But even the lessons that you're going to see in the next few slides are going to be from some of these books. And one of the most interesting thing I've learned, and David and I were talking about this earlier, is that, man, reading has changed my life. The more I read, the smarter I feel, at least myself, right? I don't know about others, but I feel like, man, I'm learning so much because these books, for $10, if you get one good nugget, that's more than enough, right? You don't have to read the book from end to end, but if you can read it and get like one good nugget, I mean, that really makes it or breaks it. And I've learned so much building a company in the last 3 years. So here we go. 5 elements. Number 1, this was really hard. As a founder, how many of you guys are in like CEO, founder, kind of early stage? All right, so you guys know that you guys love your product, right? You guys love what you're building. And you feel like that's the best thing ever. But here's the deal. The customers you're selling to, they don't give a crap. What they give a crap about is the problem that they have. So if you can talk about the problem, the product is an obvious conversation to have afterwards. I think a lot of times when I get pitched with a product. I don't give a shit about your product. I really don't. And neither did our customers. So when that happens, I think the biggest thing that we learned was we didn't need to talk about Terminus. If we talked about Terminus, nobody would really care about it because we're trying to say that we are the best. What we need to talk about and empathize with is the problem that they're solving because that's what they're there for. Their job depends on it. Who knows the company that these shoes are from? Hush Puppies. You guys, how many of you guys know Hush Puppies? Have you bought? Yeah, all right, some of you guys. There's an interesting story about this. In 1960s and 70s, this was one of the best brands out there. They were the first shoe company that were able to create this like easy-to-wear casual shoes. It was the best thing that people were talking about. And all of a sudden, in 1995, it stopped. It didn't go anywhere. And then until 1994, in 1995, it became, again, the best company out there. They were going out of business in 94 after 20 years. And in 1 year, they went from not selling and shutting down the entire operations to selling 400,000 of their shoes, and the next year 4 times over. I feel like that's like yawning, right? Like it just, what happened there? Like something caught on, right? Something in a 1 year, how can a company go from something that they're really, really not doing anything to something that they're awesome? And does this really apply to anything that you and I are doing today in marketing and sales? And I wanted to figure out what that is. And this is something that Malcolm Gladwell in the book Tipping Point talks about. So I'm going to go through some of that principle. But every time there's a movement that has a sudden inflection point, we believe, and I think there's a lot of studies done, where there is something happening that immediately catches attention. And what is that? Why that happened? So in today's world, I don't know how many of you guys have seen the whole Flip My Funnel. Have you guys been to a Flip My Funnel movement or looked at it? Oh man, a lot of people. You guys need to go to flipmyfunnel.com. But it was all around that marketing and sales, the way it has been done has been different. If you look at the yellow funnel, the funnel that we all are so familiar with, it is the top-down funnel. And I will spare the details in it, but the reality is less than 1% of the leads are turning into customers. That is something Forrester put out there as a research. And then we came up with this idea of flipping the funnel, which means why not start with the best fit accounts? If you're in B2B, there's no reason why you should be trying to get somebody that you don't know. It's like Yellow Pages. On LinkedIn and everywhere else, there are so many data companies. You can find out which companies are, and then spending your time on the people in those accounts matters. And then engaging them, and we're going to go through some examples of that, on their terms matters. Turning them into advocates matters. So if you flip the funnel, and we call it the hashtag Flip My Funnel movement, it really changes the way B2B marketing and sales work. Now, you might say, what has this to do with anything? Well, here are the 3 things. And I'm going to leave with each one of these 5 elements more questions than answers. And the reason is, I don't know what situation you're in. Maybe you have the best product. Maybe you know what's going on. Maybe you know you're the best salesperson out there. But maybe the situation that you're in has something to do with the output that you're getting. So I want to give you more questions today to think about from a sales perspective. So in the Malcolm Gladwell book on Tipping Point, he talked about these 3 things. The reason some things catch fire, the reason some things really become a movement, and reasons why people get attracted to the way the sales process works is because there's these 3 things. Law of the few, having a stickiness power, and the power of context overall. So if you think about it, in the last sales calls that you guys may have made or emails that you've sent, how many times when you reached out, you were unique? Did you ask for 15 minutes of your new future customers' problem, or did you really were unique at the end of the day? How many times you created an urgency? Did you learn about their problems and said, hey, we can actually solve this problem because we know that your company just raised money and we know we can do something? Did you create some urgency? And lastly, how many times you cared enough to know who that person is and what that person has done? If we haven't done those things, those are the emails that I never respond to, right? Because they did not know enough about me. There was nothing unique about the email they sent me. And moreover, they didn't care about my problem. So if you were to think about this idea of tipping point, I think we all can create these moments of incredible loyalty with our future customers if we can think about these 3 questions. And I think that can change the way you market and sell, and that will make you a category leader. All right, so let's go to the next one. This one I absolutely love. How many of you guys are a fan of Zig Ziglar? A lot of you guys, right? Oh man, it's I think I love everything he has said and the books that he has written. And he defined sales to me the best way that anybody ever could. He said, selling is essentially a transfer of feelings. Not products, not pricing, but feelings. So what we're talking about here is emotion. And when I think about it, it's enthusiasm. Are you excited about what you're talking about you're selling? Are you excited about the problem that you're solving? Are you excited about and have passion for the way the customer is thinking about it? Do you have the insights into this whole idea of whatever you're selling, right? So to me, that feeling, if we have that feeling, I think it is so transferable. It is the most amazing thing. I don't know how you measure it, but if you have that feeling, the other person can tell you that you have that feeling, and they would get attracted to you. And I know this for sure. You want your future customers to think about you in the shower. It's about to get creepy. How many of you guys, well, let's just go around. I'm going to quick question. Name me 3 companies of shoe brands. We will start here. Go ahead. Any brands of shoes? Nike? Adidas? All right. Hush Puppies. There you go. Keep going. Kohan. All right. All right. And you can see that first few, everybody was like, yeah. And then like only 1 person or 2 people know. The reality is we only have shelf life for maybe 2 or 3 things around every single brand. Maybe 4 if you're super smart, and maybe 5 if you're Kenny. But the reality is you cannot have more shelf life more than 2 or 3 things. Now, if you think about it as a marketer, there are 5,000 companies that are trying to sell me. I do not have the shelf life to remember about all these 5,000 companies. And you are one of those, and each one of these companies have tens of hundreds of salespeople. So if you think about it, we're trying to make sure that you are having that shelf life, and that requires you to be unique and having context and having urgency around it. Now, the part that really goes back to the Zig Ziglar quote is that, are you really caring about it? And you really, really do care about it, because everyone, and you can raise of hands if you believe this, that when you sell, the customer that you're selling to, they're buying from you because they trust you. Almost everybody, right? They trust you. They don't know what's going to happen, but you've done your job of making them believe that you can solve their problem, right? That means that you have transferred that feeling that you really care. Here's an example of that. How many of you guys have stayed at a DoubleTree? Some of you guys. You guys know about the cookies? It's amazing, right? It's incredible. It's a hospitality business. They don't talk about in their advertising around how the rooms are, how the curtains are, how the beds are, any of that. They talk about freshly baked cookies every morning. And people talk about that on Instagram, people talk about that on Twitter, and people talk about, did you get those cookies? And people talk about the recipe around it. And they bake 75,000 cookies every single day. On the sales side, we make 75 calls every day, right? So the question is, what kind of experience do we want to create for our customers? A customer where they would have a smile around the experience that you just gave them, or you want to essentially be, well, like, I'm smiling, I know this is going to happen someday. What happens next, right? So that is really important. Are we transferring the feeling? Questions? For the last 5 times, this is something I would love for every one of you guys to do. Go back and talk to 5 of your customers that you have sold to and ask them, why did they buy from you? Was it a sales pitch? Was it because you understood their problem? Or was it because you really cared? And you will know what matters and what you're good at, and double down on that gift. All right, third one team approach. I believe that most companies don't care if you're in sales and marketing. Well, let me ask you this question. This is going to sound pretty stupid. How many of you guys are in sales? All right, pretty stupid question. How many of you guys are in marketing? I expect everyone to raise their hand. You are in sales and you are in marketing. As a founder, I've realized that there's this one line item on your income statement or balance sheet that says sales and marketing efficiency. If your sales number goes down, marketing budget cuts. And if the sales are going up, marketing gets budget. Simple as that. Your customer doesn't care if you're in sales and marketing. They care that you care about them. They look at you as one team, which means you have to have the same mindset and the same scorecard. And when that happens, this is what will happen in your organization. This is what happened in our organization, which was our chief revenue officer said, fire me if this thing doesn't work, this ABM thing doesn't work in the company, fire me. He didn't say fire the sales team or fire the marketing team or give me the budget. He said, fire me. This is a true statement, right? The VP of marketing, Peter, he said, man, nobody cares about leads. They care about engagements. And most importantly, the head of sales development said, this is shaving off 4 hours of my day every single day so I can focus on the right accounts. Now imagine if that conversation happens in your organization, what kind of organization and what speed we will create and how fast would we grow. And that has been happening for us because of this idea, and it has become our core value. That's #OneTeam is one of our core values now. Because we want to behave as a core team, not try to have leads and not show attribution on every single lead. We want to show attribution on the account. Case in point, how many of you guys are hiring account executives in your organization? How many of you guys are hiring lead executives? Probably nobody. Nobody hires a lead executive. Everybody hires an account executive. So the sales knows this, and they've been focusing on accounts. Marketing has been giving them leads, and thereby the disconnect. Tell that to your sales marketing team when you go back and share that. All right, so again, final points. The questions is, are you working as one team? Do you have one scorecard? This is so critical. If sales and marketing has 2 different numbers and 2 different scorecards, your customers are going to get 2 different emails and 2 different ways of communication. And that's not going to show care. That's not going to transfer feelings. Number 4. Now this might sound a little bit kind of talking about how I am doing things. So please look at this as an example and see how that can be transferred in your own practice. So here is a screenshot, and I took permission from Rich Young to share this. He put this on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago. And he said he had a whole bunch of stuff. And he said, look, I'm not connected to Sangram. I'm not connected to Terminus and ABM. I don't know him. We're not on LinkedIn buddies or anything like that. But here's the deal. I'm going to buy ABM or something ABM-oriented in the next 12 to 24 months. And the first person I'm going to reach out to would be Sangram or Terminus. And the reason that happened is because we have not talked about Terminus at all. We have only talked about the problem of how to solve things in ABM and how other people are solving it and giving credit to the community and credit to the people. And in turn, people say, you know what? I want to talk to you because I want to learn more about what you're doing. So this is one part where I would love for everybody to take away from this presentation is scrap the word prospect. I plead that because prospect is just dirty. Like, I don't want to be prospected. Do you want to be prospected? I don't think so, right? If you think about it, you want to think about your customers and future customers. The kind of conversations you're going to have when you think about them as future customers are going to be different. You will not be spamming them. You will be thinking about them as customers. You will not spam your customers. So I would love for everybody to start saying customers and future customers as opposed to customers and prospects. Deal? Yep. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to skip through this one and get to a really interesting part, and this is super personal. At the end of the day, we all know it's about the customer. And we know that we want to make them heroes in the organization. You with me on that? All right? If we can solve their problem and make them heroes in their organization, we win. You close the deal. And they will refer to other customers. But to feel it emotionally, I needed to figure out a way to test it. So I brought in my wife and said, you know what? You're my best customer. And we've been married for 12 years. I don't want you to fire me. It would be really bad for me. And I want to test this hypothesis of figuring out if I'm thinking about the customer the right way. So I put it at the center of this chart. And I said, all right, let's figure out of all the things I do as a husband, 1x to 10x impact of those. And then, top to bottom, the things that you think I should do or things that I must do in order to have that impact. So the more things are in the must do 10x, the better. The less, if it's a low impact should do, I need to change that, right? So we started with the simple stuff. Like, hey, just clean the cars, make sure that you pay the bills and take kids to soccer and all that things. It's just basic stuff. Like, I just want you to do that. You should do that. I'm like, yeah, that's great. No problem. This was before Christmas. So I asked her, what do you want for Christmas? And she said, 12 years of marriage and you don't know what I want? So that was really bad. That didn't go well. And then I'm like, how do I dig myself out of this hole? So I started saying, hey, how about this? You work and I work. Both of us are working. So how about this? Over the weekend, I will try to take care of the kids for a couple of, 2-3 hours and try to be mom and dad. Like, not be mom and dad. Try to be mom and dad and see what happens. And she's like, that's great. That is really, really important. So we started getting into Mosaic, and she said, you know what? I'm the best dishwasher in my house. I don't know why we pay for the dishwasher, but I'm the best dishwasher in my house. But the problem is I don't wash dishes right away. I wait until the end of the day, let them pile up, and then wash. And she hates that. So she said, you know what? When I'm out, it would be awesome if you wash the dishes. You don't let it kind of go all the way up. But what mattered to her was this: flowers on Wednesday, on a random Wednesday. So I have been doing this for about 10 years now, where I would just always get flowers for her whenever the flowers are not in the house. And it doesn't matter what day of the week is. And she's like, you know what? And she doesn't even like flowers, by the way. But she's like, the fact that you get flowers for me on a random Wednesday matters, because that means you care. That means that you really, really care about me. And that matters to me. It's not on birthday or anniversaries, but on that day. So if you think about that as your customer, if you think about that emotional relationship, that transfer of feeling between them, then I will leave you with this. Put your customer at the center. And maybe you're doing a whole bunch of things like emails and nurture programs and blogs and websites and analysts and webinars and events and advertising and whatnot. The question is, and this is what I'm going to leave you guys with, is what if? What if you stop doing everything? You put everything on this matrix and said, I want to stop everything I'm doing right now that have a low impact and should do, and start focusing on really the most important things that my customer cares about and my future customer would ever care about. So embrace the customer problem and have that feeling. So I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity. Excited to be here. Thank you, Toronto.